Welcome back to the Torque Test channel. This week, after long await, you can buy the new generation of impact drivers from Milwaukee. Launched at their pipeline event recently, we've been seeing these kick around for a few weeks, but now our Home Depot purchases have finally arrived. This is the new Power State Fuel M12 impact driver 3453. It advertises 1500 inch-pounds or 125 foot-pounds, which is what the several inches longer M18 tools used to advertise a couple generations ago. Though this one comes in at just 1.6 pounds, which is the main draw, I feel. While we don't have an old M12 impact driver on hand, we do also have the new Gen 4 18-volt impact driver from Milwaukee out this week as well, the 2953. This model claims 2,000 inch-pounds, which is 167 foot-pounds, and 3,900 RPM and 4,400 impacts per minute. It's got large shoes to fill, though, in place of the popular 2853 workhorse with the same exact torque figures, but a lower 3,600 RPM and 4,300 IPM. Basically, the new Gen 4 should drill and drive things faster. Unless it's a large lag bolt requiring all the ugga-duggas, then maybe they both make the same torque. I guess we'll find out. It is 0.1 inches shorter, so there is that. Now, if we're talking size like the overall footprint, though, the M12 is hard to ignore. We pretty much love the M12 stubby impact, and with the same specs as its M18 brother, we found that those have similar performance, and there's just really no reason not to buy the M12. The tri-lights on these new models are a considerable improvement, I feel. Not only is it brighter, but I feel each of the three lights are individually brighter than the Gen 3 M18 here. And it's a warmer light too, something Milwaukee has gotten quite good at with their TrueView lighting products that we've also found little fault with. We'll be using the XC 6.0 battery on the M12 for now until Milwaukee's new high output 5 amp hour pack comes out to see that. Though it appears those won't be containing 21700 cells because, as we've long theorized, they just plain won't fit. But maybe just better or well-managed 18650s in the case. The new M12 is longer than the M18, but also carries a narrower body, a bold strategy for weight savings, I feel, because as we've learned in past episodes with how impact wrenches work, the larger diameter and thus wider you can make the hammers, the more you benefit from what little mass you have to work with. So let's find out. The M12 costs $139 and the M18 $149. That's up there for impact drivers, especially when the Gen 3 M18 is currently on sale for $129 with a CP 3.0, which I think is maybe a perfect battery for that. Our first test is 5 seconds. It's called working torque and forward. Traditionally, impact drivers do make their claims in this very test, something we love to see. The old 2853 Gen 3 M18, in fact, making 167 here, which is exactly 2,000 inch-pounds. Here's the M12 now. Obviously won't be making the same beans, but is advertised at 125 foot-pounds. Here it is in mode 3, which is its highest. Okay, well, that's 83 foot-pounds. Obviously it wasn't going to beat the old M18, but that's looking like half. It is advertised being 75% of an old M18. Here's what a curve of 1,500 inch-pounds would look like, or basically 3/4 of an M18. So far, well under that, but it's got a couple more tests to make it up there. Okay, the new M18 Gen 4 on screen in black, picking on someone its own size, the Gen 3 M18. And that's a broken bit. That happens a lot, especially with this new driver, as we found crazy high impacts per minute seem to really do these things in. Here's a clean run. So 162 under the 167 of the old model, with an interesting curve as well. Honestly, even though this is a median run, within 5 foot-pounds is pretty typical. So far, they're making similar sauce. Onto our 10-second forward working test. Impact drivers tend to like this test. Here's the M12 yet again versus past runs with the Gen 3 M18. $92 foot-pounds. Not much increase over the 5-second test really, and in that neighborhood of half the 18-volt tool instead of 3/4. Of course, testing impact drivers is one of the silliest things we do on this channel, and we do some nonsense for sure. I'm not about to pretend that you need in excess of 100 foot-pounds of impacting to drive in some deck screws, but we just kind of see what they make here, and for us, it didn't make 125 foot-pounds or 3/4 of that M18 tool. The new Gen 4 though, it does make some power. Let's see that. $194, just topping the old Gen 3 and sort of bringing in a weird looking curve for it too. That difference of impacts per minute, or RPM, must be on display here because they do make similar power, just very differently. I would expect these two tools to trade off on what types of stuff they can drive faster, depending on small differences in those fasteners. Now this is where things get a little weird. Here's our 10-second reverse max torque test. And first up we have a broken adapter. Nothing too strange about that, except this tool did go through 5 on the day, tied for a record with the Flex. We do at least 3 times the number of tests you normally see. And here, the M18 Gen 4 twisted an impact driver rather than sheared it, a first for us. With its setting lights flashing, it would not spin anymore. The bit was stuck good and tight on this one, twisted and sort of kinked inside of that hex collet. Even some percussive maintenance didn't seem to help. And then the worst. So we're able to take the adapter out of this chuck. Luckily didn't have to take off this retaining ring, a magnet did it. But after that, pulling this trigger, these lights would just kind of dimly flash. They would just like strobe on and off. The trigger wouldn't work, and then all of a sudden the lights stop working at all. Nothing comes on. Battery on, battery off, tried multiple batteries. It's just no longer working. So this one is KO'd. Not the first time on this channel, but we try to show it to you when it does happen. Maybe it wasn't the tool's fault. The adapter twisting could have seized the collet, though we couldn't find anything when taking the whole tool apart that caused this. And of course, I'm sure this didn't help. But we've been 10 times harder on the old 2853, taken it apart, put it back together, still runs, though sometimes does sound a bit popcorny and doesn't always make the 167 in that test anymore, not that we use it to calibrate things. We thought this would be a good opportunity to go through Milwaukee's warranty process for you guys, but after contacting them, they said it's too new. They wouldn't warranty it. They said take it back to Home Depot. So we went to Home Depot and explained that it stopped working, and they would also not exchange it. They said the store had no stock, so I asked, well, could you just order us a replacement then? And then they said no again. They would only give me a refund, then told me to just go online and order another one. So unfortunately, I don't have another one to show for you today. For us, what's the difference really? We have too many impacts. But if I was working day to day with this thing, it might rub me the wrong way hearing that. So yeah, here's the ranking. The M18, we didn't complete one full test of this reverse, so since these tools basically make power tit for tat, we used a similar ratio between the two here to complete this one, with an asterisk, of course. Oh, and the M12 makes a tiny bit more power in reverse, showing you that test here, not moving the needle a whole bunch though. On this ranking where the power runs are over 5, that's 32, 37, and 39, and 17, 19, and 18. The M18 is shorter and made pretty good peak torque here, that's 43.2 foot-pounds per inch. Only really a DeWalt DCF 850 beating that, and 19 for the M12, that's nearly a last place score. The M18 gets a max of 100% on its claims, really underrated, and the M12 just 76% for us, unfortunately. $149 and $139 is not cheap. That's 10.4 and just 5.5 points as a function of power and price, and that totals 261.6 and 154.5, putting the M12 nearly last. I mean, this ranking isn't exactly full of 12-volt tools yet, so that maybe not a fair comparison, but still expected more just based on the specs alone that they provide, I suppose. The new M18 is just under 1 point below the old Gen 3, which Yeah, that pencils out for me. Besides being 0.1 inches shorter, can't point to really anything in particular that stands out as better on this one. It also got harder for us in testing than nearly any other driver we've tested, save for the flex, of course. The M12 maybe it is an improvement over past models. You can tell us in the comments, but seems to be half the power of the M18 rather than the specs imply. Tim over at Shop Tool Reviews, really you should check them out if you haven't already. While seeing more impressive numbers because of a nut busting process, also saw the M12 reaching just at half the torque of the M18 for him. And with the M18, he also experienced no issues on similar unapologetically large nuts and bolts like ours. Wish I had another M18 to break out for you guys today, but it's in the mail. We'll let you guys know if it meets a similar demise for us. Till then, as always, we're just one piece of the pie. It's always a good idea to look at multiple sources and channels. Maybe a tool we tested did super well for us and broke for someone else. In the meantime, I suspect deck screws, small lags probably won't abuse this tool as much as we did. I'd still take that Gen 3 though, personally speaking, until this Gen 4 has proven itself as much as that has. Thanks for watching.